So go ahead and lay on down whenever you're ready. You can land in any comfortable shape. Knees could be bent, legs could be straight. Maybe the arms rest down by your sides. Maybe they rest somewhere on the physical body if that feels grounding for you. We'll give ourselves the first few moments of the practice just to arrive here. With everything that you might be feeling or experiencing physically, mentally, emotionally. Letting your full experience of this moment right here, right now, show up to the practice. We do that without diving into the story of how or why you might be feeling the way you're feeling. Let's give ourselves a few moments to just be. Start to notice the feeling of support from the ground underneath you. And then scan through the body, noticing any place that might be holding a little bit of excess tension, that might still feel held. See if you could imagine it softening with the support of gravity into the floor behind you. So if your body could make an imprint on the floor, it would get a little deeper into the ground. And then shift your awareness to your breath. What does it feel like to breathe here? You might notice that just by shifting your awareness to the breath, it gets a little bit deeper, a little bit fuller. See if you can stay with that, imagining that your inhale fills the whole body like a balloon, all the way down through the legs, through the toes, through the arms, the fingers, out the top of the head. And then as you exhale, the balloon deflates, you soften into the ground. Couple of rounds of breath, just like that. Your pace, your timing doesn't have to be your biggest breath ever if that doesn't feel comfortable. Let the mind rest on the task of watching the breath. As you breathe, invite in any gentle movement that feels like a fresh start. Maybe rock the back of the head against the ground. Feeling the shifts of contact with the floor. You might dip the knees from side to side. Maybe you make fists with the hands and circle the wrists out. Right away, noticing how the movement that you're choosing is creating a shift of sensation in the body. You don't have to understand it in language. Just watch it unfold before you. And then as you feel ready, stretch the legs out long, reach the arms up overhead, take a big full body stretch. As you exhale, hug the knees into the chest. Take a moment here to rock side to side, maybe circle the ankles, crunch and release the toes. Notice any sensation in the lower back, the hips, the knees, the ankles. Maybe you soften the shoulders toward the ground. Feel the weight of the head on the earth. Then we'll hug the right knee into the chest, interlace the hands at the top of the right shin. Your left leg could be bent, or you could extend it out in front of you. If the leg is straight, keep pressing through your foot as if you were standing on the ground. Take a couple rounds of breath just to tug at the right shin, to soften the knee in toward the chest. Imagine that the hip flexors dissolve away. And then we'll start to draw the right knee toward the right armpit. I like to take the left hand down to the ground, or at least the left elbow to the ground, or left hand to left hip press, just to balance. So that the whole shape doesn't roll to the right. Instead, you've just got the right leg externally rotating at the hip. Again, gentle tug. Imagining you could sort of wiggle out any tension that you might be holding there. We'll draw the knee back to center and start to bend and straighten your right leg toward the sky at a pace that makes sense for you. You could think about this as like a coaxing open of the hamstring muscles, calf, the back of the knee, the backs of your heels. The leg does not have to get totally straight at any point. If you're feeling like your left leg is extended and you'd like to re-bend it for more support, you're welcome to do that as well. And we'll pause the next time you have your heel reaching for the ceiling and take a couple rounds of breath. You might circle the right ankle a couple of times. You can notice how that shifts the sensation in the leg. And then if your left leg is still straight, go ahead and bend it, plant your left foot on the mat. We'll set up for half happy baby. Right hand reaches for the back of the right knee or the outside of your right foot. Left hand can come to left hip again, or maybe out to your side like a cactus. Feel the right knee melting toward the ground. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Release your foot or leg, cross the right ankle over the left thigh for figure four. Your left foot could stay rooted and pressing, or maybe you draw the whole shape in toward you. We'll take a couple rounds of breath here. Feel free to rock side to side. Feel free to scrunch and release the left toes, left ankle. Coming back to the fullness of the breath. And we'll let the left foot land on the mat, drop the whole shape over to the left, right foot comes to stand on the ground, and settle your gaze over the right shoulder. Arms could be in a cactus or a T, whatever you've got space for. Just feeling the first twist of the spine here. Seeing if you can still breathe deeply all the way into the belly. Letting yourself fill with new air, new energy as you inhale. Gently letting go anything you don't need as you exhale. As you next exhale, draw the body back to center. Then we'll tip the whole shape over to the right. So the right thigh comes to land on the ground. Left foot scooches off to the left side of the mat. You might even like heel toe the foot up a little bit to feel the left knee drawing down toward the midline of the mat. Takes a little bit of finagling with the left foot, left leg to land in a spot that makes like intuitive sense in your body. Feel free to take the time. It's a little different. At least, I mean, for me it's different, I feel like every day, but it's different from body to body also. Just checking in. Breathing maybe into the left hip, left thigh. The sensation of twist. Well, slowly let your right foot come off of your left leg and then bring the knees back to center. Take a moment just with the feet wide and the knees bent to dip the knees from side to side. And we'll hug the legs into the chest. Good, left leg stays in, right foot lands with the knee bent or straight. Give the left leg a gentle tug. Imagine that the hip flexors just melt away, so there's less of a barrier from getting your leg to your chest. And then as you feel ready, draw the knee a little closer to the armpit. So you feel the thigh bone, start to externally rotate at the hip socket. Right arm can come out as support. You might even take your left forearm around the left shin. Give the leg a little shake. And then in your own timing, draw the leg back to center and start to bend and straighten your left leg. Reach it, feel for the ceiling. Let it softly bend. Very slowly, creating a sense of opening at the back of the leg. Right knee could always rebend. That makes the most sense for you here. Feel how the back of the left hip gets heavy toward the ground as you reach the heel for the ceiling. Pause with the heel reaching up and take a couple of rounds of breath. You might make circles with the left knee, or what is this? It's an ankle with the left ankle. You might scrunch and release the toes. Keep feeling the back of the hip heavy on the ground. Keep imagining space growing in the back of the leg. And we'll re-bend the right knee, plant the foot, and set up for your half happy baby on this side. Left knee starts to draw in toward left armpit. Right hand can stabilize the body from rocking to the left by pressing down on the hip crest, or maybe reaching out to the side. I have a teacher who always uses the image of when your arm is out to the side and you want to not rock all the way over to its opposite, you imagine like a 3-pound weight in your hand, your extended hand, and imagine pushing up into that weight to create a sense of stability to prevent the body from totally rocking over. Take one more breath in here. One more breath out. Release the leg, let the left ankle cross over right thigh, your version of figure 4 on this side. Couple rounds of breath. And let the right foot land on the mat, drop the whole shape over to the right and gaze over your left shoulder. Couple rounds of breath here, notice the twist, breathe all the way into the belly. At the bottom of the next exhale, roll back to center and then let it keep rolling over to the left. Right foot scooches out to the right side of the mat and then maybe you like heel toe it up so it's a little closer to the glute. Imagine the right knee moves toward the ground with the support of the left foot. I forgot to say this on the other side, but if this feels way too intense, you can always uncross your left ankle from your right thigh. Take a couple of rounds of breath. We'll uncross the left foot, bring the legs to the feet to the outer edges of the mat, and just gently dip the knees from side to side. Let's hug the legs into the chest one more time. Option for happy baby if that would feel good. You could rock it, maybe one leg straightens, then the other. Now draw the legs back to center and start to rock and roll up and down the back body until you find a boat pose. So your shins will come parallel to the ground, hands could stay at the backs of the legs. Feel the body, you're seated behind your sits bones. And see if you can lean back a little bit, open the shoulders. Draw the belly button toward the spine, let the low ribs connect, and lift the sternum up and back. Get longer from your tailbone to the top of your head. Option to keep your hands holding the backs of the legs or to reach them forward. See if you can keep the chest open. Stay and soften something as you exhale. One more inhale. As you exhale, rock back onto your back. Option for like I don't like the word lazy generally, but like a less efforted plow pose, feet above head. That feels good. And then we'll rock you forward from here. If you don't feel like going to plow, you can just rock onto your back. We'll take a couple little rocks from boat to a plow if you want it. Seeing if you can find the broadness of the collarbones as you come up into your boat. And eventually we'll rock all the way over and find a tabletop position. Shoulders stack over wrists, hips over knees. Take a few moments just to let all the boats go and to get settled into the sensation of having weight in your hands. Notice what it feels like to press down into the tips of the fingers, into the base of the knuckles. Notice what it feels like to create that like basketball holding sensation. As if you could hold a basketball with your fingertips. Not that I do that. We'll drop the belly, lift the heart as you inhale. As you exhale, push the floor away around the spine. Take a few rounds of breath here just to move the spine in a way that feels good. So you might stick with this straightforward cat-cow. You might add in some circles of the ribs, a wag of the tail, a look from side to side. Let it be as free as you would like it to be. And stay with your big, buoyant breath. As you're ready, find a neutral spine tabletop. We'll keep the right hand rooted. Open the left arm to the sky. Spread wide across the front of the chest. Exhale, thread the left arm underneath the right and do a twist. Right hand could stay pressing underneath the shoulder to feel the rib cage wrap around, or maybe you reach your right arm forward out in front of the head, tented fingertips. Take a couple rounds of breath. You might take a micro wag of the tail from side to side. Notice how that affects the twist of the spine. We'll plant the right hand underneath the shoulder, reach the left fingertips all the way up. Exhale, take the hand to the mat, right away to the other side today. Left hand roots, open the right hand high. Exhale, thread the arm through, find your twist. Press the left hand to wrap the ribs into a twist or reach the arm forward in front of you for more space on the left side. Option for a little wag of the tail. And plant the left hand underneath the shoulder, reach the right fingertips all the way up. Exhale, hand to the mat. Step your left foot back behind you with the ball of the foot on the ground and take a couple little rocks front to back. Just checking out what it feels like in the bottom of the foot, the back of the leg. And shift the weight forward so that the shoulders stack over the wrist, float your left leg back behind you. Imagine the inner thigh could spin for the ceiling, press firmly into both hands and hug the right outer hip in toward the midline. Feel the length from your back heel to the top of your head. Option to float your right arm forward, pinky closest to the ground. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, draw everything to center. Inhale, extend long, reach to the left inner thigh, spin for the ceiling, right outer hip hugs in. Exhale, hug to center. Last one, inhale, reach up. Exhale, this time let everything land in your tabletop and shift the hips back, child's pose. Lift the palms up so you're on tented fingertips and walk the arms over to the right. Feel your left hip hug back. And breathe into your left ribs. Good, walk the hands back to center, shift forward into a tabletop, and then we'll just step the right foot outside the right hand. Press down into your front foot, shift your hips back in space so that your left hip is stacked over your left knee, and come all the way up. So you're in like a wide-ish lunge here. Ooh, big crack of the head. Feel the push down into your right foot. You might even scoot your heel back a little bit so that it feels like it plants right under your knee. And if this feels too intense for your left knee, you want to pad it with a blanket or something, you're welcome to do that as well. We'll sweep the arms all the way up. And feel the tailbone get really heavy toward the ground until you're moving almost into a posterior tilt of the pelvis. Pelvis tips backward. We open up some space in the front of the left hip flexors. Take a full breath in here and a full breath out. And then slowly, seeing if we can keep the connection of the pelvis tipping backward, the length growing of the hip flexors. We scooch heel toe, like little micro movements, the lunge forward. Feel the right hip continue to hug back. And then for me, I can go like half an inch before my pelvis starts to tip forward into an anterior tilt. So it might not be a big adjustment, but find the spot for you where you can maintain your posterior tilt of the pelvis and sink into your lunge, and then sweep the arms all the way up. Push down into your feet to grow tall through the tips of the fingers. And then as you exhale, right hand comes to right hip, lean up and over to the right. Take a couple of big breaths. One more inhale. As you exhale, round the torso forward till your left hand finds the ground. Tuck the back toes, straighten the back leg, give the knee a little break. Right arm floats high, spinal twist. Feel the length from your back heel to the top of the head. Find a full breath in. And a full breath out. One more inhale. As you exhale, right hand finds the ground, step your right foot back, high point. You might notice a difference in sensation from one side of the body to the other. You don't have to have words to describe it. That's like my ongoing practice right now, is trying to like trust understanding without giving it words. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, release the knees to the mat, shift the hips back, child's pose. Knees could be together or wide, allow the torso to drape forward, the forehead to rest on something. And take a couple rounds of breath. You might think about the breath, moving the rib cage wide. As you inhale, you might feel the breath move into the belly. Notice how that causes a little ripple of the spine. And we'll lift the palms up so you're on tented fingertips and take the arms over on a walk to the left. Right hip hugs back in space, breathe into the right side ribs. And walk the arms back to center. Use an inhale to shift you forward, find your tabletop, and step the right foot back behind you. Follow the foot, comes to the ground, couple little rocks. Right away, checking out what it feels like to have the hips square to the ground. Seeing if you can lift from the backs of the ears to bring the head in line with the rest of the spine. Shift the weight forward, press into the tips of your fingers, float the right leg back behind you. Right inner thigh spins for the ceiling, left outer hip hugs in toward the midline, press down through both hands. Option to shift more weight into your right hand, float your left arm forward, pinky close to the ground, take a full breath in. Exhale, draw everything to center. Inhale, find the clarity of your starting position, 2 hips, 2 shoulders, square to the earth. Exhale, draw everything in. Last one, inhale, extend the leg back long. Exhale, hand to mat, knee to mat, shift the hips back, child. Shift forward, table, step your left foot forward outside your left hand. Press down into your feet, scooch the hips back so that your right hip stacks over your right knee and stand all the way up. From there, heel toe your foot closer to you so that the heel stacks underneath the knee, and take a couple rounds of breath just to notice where the pelvis is in space. If one hip is further forward than the other, if the tailbone's pointing back, if the tailbone's pointing forward. See if you can first start in a neutral pelvis, no tip. And then start to rock the pelvis back by guiding the tailbone forward until you feel more space starting to open in the right hip flexors. Keep hugging the right hip, or the left hip back rather, and then get taller from your right knee through the tips of your fingers. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Maintaining the posterior tilt of the pelvis, very small heel toe forward of the left foot and knee in space, trying to keep the left knee stacked over the left heel, so that might mean you don't go as far. Going far is not the priority, we're just here to open up a little more space in the front of the pelvis. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, left hand to left hip or left forearm to left thigh, lean up and over to the left. Woo, couple big breaths. Keep the tailbone moving forward ever so slightly. One more inhale. And as you exhale, right hand finds the ground inside the left foot, tuck the back toes, straighten the back leg, float your left arm high, spinal twist. One more breath in. Exhale, hand in that, step your feet back high, plank. Stay for the inhale, push the floor away. Exhale, hips up and back. First downward facing dog. And we just did a lot of stuff on the knees with the legs bent. So give yourself a little extra time to tread through the feet. To sway the hips, to shake the head, no, not yes, wiggle the jaw. Witnessing the ever moving sensations in the body. As you inhale, rise high to the toes, bend the knees and take a walk forward to the top of the mat. Feet come hips width apart, bend the knees a whole lot and let the torso hang heavy. Option to hold opposite elbows or to wrap the arms around the backs of the legs. Feel your feet spreading wide into the mat. Feel the movement of the spine as you breathe. And let the arms hang by the sides, bend the knees, roll to stand, vertebrae by vertebrae. The head is the very last thing to arrive. Take a couple of natural shoulder rolls as you get to the top. Just wiggling it out. And we'll press down through the feet, sweep the arms to the sky, stand tall, big lift of the chest. As you exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Soft bend of the knees, lift the spine halfway and pause. Feel the shoulders roll away from the ground, hands could be at shins or thighs or hips. maybe you take them back by your sides like airplanes, so you can really feel the external rotation of the shoulders rolling away from the ground. So you feel broad across the front of the chest, just like we did in boat pose. Take a full breath in here. As you exhale, fold forward, let that go. One more time, a little bit quicker. Inhale, fluid spine halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, let it go. Right foot stays right to step your left foot back to a lunge and take the hands to tented fingertips, floor blocks. Inhale, start to lift the sternum forward and up, the back knee might tap down. As you exhale, move the legs forward straight and look toward your back foot, extended pyramid pose. Inhale, re-bend the front knee, heart lifts, back knee might tap down. Exhale, move the legs forward straight, extended pyramid. 5 rounds of breath to move as feels good with these shapes. Try not to plan your approach. Again, talking to myself here. You don't need to know what your next move will be. Stay with how the body's guiding you. Watch it. And then from your next lunge, turn all the toes to face the left side of the mat, wide-legged forward fold. We'll use an inhale to lift the spine halfway. Exhale, forward fold, let it go. A couple rounds of breath here. Feel free to take any stillness or movement that feels good. You might bend both knees. You might bend one leg, the other, maybe sway the spine like seaweed. Couple rounds of breath. And slowly bend the knees, start to roll up through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head is the very last thing to arrive. We'll sweep the arms all the way up. And then kick your left heel back, turn your right toes forward to face the top of the mat. And press into your back foot to bend into your front knee. Warrior 2. Feel the right knee move out and around toward the right side of the mat. Feel the left shoulder move away from the right knee. Spread the arms wide from the heart and settle the gaze on something still. Take a few soft breaths. Feeling the power of your back leg, allowing for the softening of the right knee forward. We'll use an inhale, push in your right foot to straighten the front leg, sweep the arms all the way up. As you exhale, re-bend the front knee, press the arms through thick air, find your warrior. Flip the front palm to the whole shape up and back, reverse it. As you exhale, hands come to frame the front foot, low lunge. Take the gaze forward. Exhale, step your front foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rise onto the toes, roll forward through the spine, find a high plank. Exhale, bend the knees, lead with the sits bones, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 3 waves, your breath, your timing. You get to decide how you move through the spine to get to your plank. You get to decide the pace that you move, the way in which you breathe. From downward facing dog, flip the right leg up and back. As you exhale, bend the knee, open up the hip and take any movement that feels good. The body doesn't know that it has parts, so the whole thing is involved in every movement that you take. What do you notice? As you inhale, straighten the legs toward the hip. As you exhale, step the right foot outside the right hand. Gaze moves forward, step your back foot forward outside your left hand. Lower the hips, lift the heart. For squat, you might notice, again, a difference in sensation from one side to the other. Give yourself a moment, maybe to rock from side to side, to feel the push of the feet into the ground, the lift of the pelvic floor, a little bit of support from the legs, hips. Take one more breath in. As you exhale, hands to mat, spin the heels behind the toes, bend the knees wide, legged forward fold. Bend the knees deeply, take a halfway lift, inhale, sternum moves forward. As you exhale, fold. Bend the knees, roll this down vertebrae by vertebrae. The head is the very last thing to arrive. Feet are wide-ish, we'll open the arms wide, take a breath in. As you exhale, bend the knees, round the spine like you're wrapping over a giant ball. Inhale, open the arms wide, heart lifts. Exhale, bend the knees and wrap. One more, inhale, lift the heart, take up space. Exhale, bend and wrap. Pause here, interlace the fingers, flip the palms away from you. Let the arms scoop you up to stand, big breath in. Exhale, release the grip of your fingers, fold forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, plant the hands, step back, find your high plank. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. One more inhale. As you exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. We'll take the hands back by the sides with the elbows straight and the palms facing the ground. Press down with the tops of the feet into the mat. And imagine the flesh of the buttocks moves toward the heels. Lift the palms up so you're on tented fingertips and roll the heads of the shoulders away from the ground until you start to reach the top of your head forward and up to lift the upper body off the ground. So the legs are really active, feet are pressing into the mat, send the sits bones toward the heels, chest moves forward, shoulders roll back. Imagine you could press the back of your head toward the wall behind you. So you might soften the chin ever so slightly in toward the chest. Take a full breath in here. And a full breath out. One more inhale. As you exhale, lower the torso. Hands pressed by the ribs. Shift up, bend back. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, shift forward, find high plank. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Untuck the toes, draw the heart forward, scoop the heart forward and up, baby cobra. As you exhale, press back, find your downward facing dog. Rise high on the toes, bend the knees, walk or float to the top of the mat. Find a halfway lift as you inhale. Forward fold as you exhale. Press through the feet, sweep the arms to the sky, stand tall. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Fluid spine, halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Left foot stays up, your right foot back to a lunge. And take a couple of rounds of breath. Hands could move to tented fingertips or blocks. Feel the left hip hug back in space. Sternum moves forward. Crown of the head reaches away from the back heel. Start to lift the heart forward and up. Back knee might tap down. Exhale, move the legs towards straight, extended pyramid pose. Inhale, rebend the front knee, heart lifts, back knee might tap. Exhale, move the legs towards straight. 5 rounds of breath for you to move through these shapes in a way that makes sense for this side. In a way that feels good for this side. From your next lunge, set up your wide-legged forward fold to the right, all your toes face the right side of the mat. Use an inhale to lift the spine halfway. Exhale, forward fold and soften. Couple rounds of breath on this side. Take what you need. And we'll bend the knees, roll up through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Let the arms sweep wide and high. Right hip or right foot, right heel kicks back. Sorry, that was very confusing. Right heel kicks back. Left toes turn to face the top of the mat. Bend into the front knee by pressing into your back foot. Readjust your stance as you need. So you feel the slight internal rotation of the right hip. The external rotation of the left hip by sending the left knee out toward the left side of the mat, the right shoulder away from it. Twist of the spine comes around the rib cage. And then another twist of the cervical spine, your neck as you gaze forward over the front middle finger. Keep pressing actively into your back foot to soften your front leg. 2 more breaths. We'll push into the front foot, just straighten the front leg, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, re-bend the front knee, press the arms through thick air warrior. Flip the front palm to the whole shape up and back, reverse it. Exhale, hands to mat, frame the front foot, low lunge. Take the gaze forward, inhale. Exhale, step your left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, roll forward through the spine, find a high plank. Optional flow all the way to the belly or to chaturanga. Optional back bend, cobra, upward facing dog. We meet in downward facing dog. Put the left leg up and back on an inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip and take any movement that feels good. The left leg is moving. What sensations exist in other parts of the body? How can you shift or change your experience by noticing something new? Use an inhale to straighten the legs, square the hip. Exhale, step the foot outside the left hand. Gaze moves forward, step the right foot outside the right hand, lower the hips, lift the heart. Take a full breath in. And a soft breath out. One more inhale. Exhale, hands to mat. Let's step right back. Find your downward facing dog. One more time. Take a full breath in. And a full breath. Inhale, float the right leg up and back. Exhale, draw a knee to nose. Inhale, send the leg up and back, reach. Exhale, draw, knee to nose. Inhale, send the leg up and back, reach. As you exhale, knee to nose, pause. Push down to the hands, lift. And then as you exhale, right knee lowers to the ground, right underneath your right hip. Swivel your left heel for the ground, swing the right shin back behind you like a kickstand, and peel the left arm outside plank. Use an inhale to float your left arm up and overhead by the ear. As you exhale, left arm reaches for the ceiling, flip the palm so it faces the wall behind you, and fold the arm very gently behind the lower back. Inhale, sweep the arm up and around. Feel the external rotation of the shoulder as you sweep the arm up. Exhale, internally rotate and fold. One more. Inhale, sweep the arm all the way up. Swing the hand to the mat. Find your starting point. Get really active on the ball of your back foot, press into your hands, belly button draws toward the spine. Big exhale as you hug the right knee into the chest. Inhale, send the leg up and back, reach. Exhale, step the foot forward between the hands. Right hand can always hold the right ankle to guide it through. Softly bend the back knee, stand all the way up. High crescent lunge. You might shorten your stance just a bit so that your right knee stacks underneath the right hip. If you're trying to create some more sensation of opening of the left hip flexors, we'll feel the right hip hug back. Tailbone softens down toward the ground. Soft bend in the back knee. And push into your back foot to sweep the arms all the way up. Use a big breath in to lift the chest, lift the heart. As you exhale, keep lifting the heart, have to shape the arms and tap the shape a little closer to the ground. The back knee does not have to touch the floor. Push down to stand up, reach, arms sweep overhead. Exhale, cactus, lift the chest and tap. Whew. Push into your feet, lift the arms all the way up. Last one, as you exhale, cactus, tap. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, open up. Find your warrior two, so a different transition into warrior two. Can you find the same steadiness of your feet on the ground? We'll flip it from palm to the whole shape up and back, or reverse it. Stay and soften as you exhale. Straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Exhale, tip forward and down. Triangle pose. Couple rounds of breath here in your version of triangle. Prioritizing the opening across the front of the chest by pressing firmly into both feet. So you've got a steady, stable base from which to open. Start to re-bend your front knee, let that sweep the right arm up and overhead, reverse your warrior. Keep the right knee bent this time, right forearm to right thigh, left arm sweeps up and overhead by the ear. Side angle lunge. Same thing, feet are pressing. Right forearm presses into right thigh to guide the ribs into a twist. Low ribs soften in, upper spine lays back. 3 breaths. Keep the right knee moving to the right, outer edge of the mat. Keep the left shoulder moving away from the right knee. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, left hand finds the ground inside the right foot. Release your back knee down to the mat. Shift the hips back, half split. Use an inhale to lift the spine halfway. Exhale, forward fold and soften. A couple rounds of breath here. Take what feels good. As you inhale, re-bend the front knee. As you exhale, tuck the back toes, move both legs towards straight extended pyramid. Lift the back heel high up, so you stay on the ball of the foot. And then start to lift the spine halfway. Hands might come to touch fingertips or blocks to bring the floor closer to you. Press actively into your back foot to hug the right hip back in space. You might even take your right thumb to the right hip crease to very gently guide it back. Tailbone moves toward the back of the mat. Top of the head reaches forward. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. There can always be a bend in the front knee, or both knees rather, but check out what you need. Option to stay right here. Option to set up a twist. Left arm stays down, right arm floats to the sky. Keep the left heel lifted, surround the ball of the back foot. Top of the head reaches forward, tailbone reaches back. Wrap the ribs into a twist. One more big breath in. As you exhale, hands to mat. We step the back foot forward enough so you can let the whole heel lower. And take 3 breaths in the traditional pyramid pose. Hands could be on blocks, arms could walk back so that the elbows are straight and fingertips point toward the back of the mat. Wherever you are, let the neck be soft. By way of keeping the activity in the feet and the legs. So the legs are steady and stable so that the upper spine, the upper body can release. Rebend the front knee, step your left foot back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, release the knees to the mat, shift the hips back. Child's pose, knees could be together or wide. If child's pose feels too constricted, feel free to roll up to a comfortable seat. We'll be here for 3 steady breaths. As you're ready, shift the weight forward into the hands, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Use an inhale to float the left leg up and back. As you exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, send the leg up and back, reach. Exhale, draw, knee to nose. Inhale, send the leg up and back, last one. Exhale, draw, knee to nose, pause here. Push the floor away with the hands and lower the left knee right underneath the left hip. Right heel spins to the ground, swivel the left shin behind you like a kickstand and float the right arm up. Use an inhale to sweep your right arm up and overhead by the ear. Use an exhale, right arm reaches up, flip the palm, hold the arm behind the low back gently. Inhale, pinky leads up. At some point you switch the palm to face the ground as you reach the arm up and overhead. Exhale, reach for the ceiling, rotation and hold. One more. As you exhale, hand swims to the ground. Find your starting position. Get really active through the ball of the back foot. Press through both legs. Belly button to spine as you hug the left knee into the chest. Inhale, send the leg up and back, reach. Exhale, step the foot forward between the hands. Round down through both feet. Softly bend the back knee, stand it all the way up. High crescent lunge. Left hip hugs back in space. Right knee softens toward the ground to let the tailbone hang a little heavier. Press into your back foot to lift through the tips of your fingers. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, cactus shake the arms, lift the heart, tap the back knee down. Push down to lift up, inhale. Exhale, lift to lower. One more. Inhale, push down, lift. Exhale, lift to lower. Inhale, stand it up. Exhale, open up, find warrior 2. Take any adjustments with the feet that you need. We'll flip the front palm to the whole shape up and back, reverse your warrior. Stay and soften as you exhale. Inhale, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Exhale, tip forward and down. Triangle pose. Feel wide across the front of the chest. Shoulder blades lay against the wall behind you. Feel a reach of the right fingers by way of pressing down into the left hand. We'll get light through the right hand, rebend the left knee, let that float you up and back, reverse your warrior. As you exhale, left knee stays bent, side angle lunge, left forearm to left thigh, right arm sweeps up and overhead by the ear. So we'll press down into the back foot to get long on the right side. Left arm presses to wrap the ribs into a twist. Tailbone keeps moving toward the midline of the mat. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. One more inhale. As you exhale, hands to frame the front foot, release the back knee down to the ground and shift the hips back, half split. Use an inhale to lift the spine halfway. Exhale, forward fold and soften. Couple rounds of breath here, take what you need. Start to rebend the front knee, tuck the back toes, lift the heart forward and up. Exhale, move both legs forward, straight extended pyramid pose. Actively lift the right heel so you're on the ball of the back foot. Hands come to tented fingertips or blocks. Right, left knee can be bent any degree. Use an inhale to lift the spine halfway. Keep pressing into the back foot to wrap the left hip backward. And feel the length of your spine from the tip of the tail to the top of the head. Keep pressing into your left big toe mound, find a full breath in. And a full breath out. Option to stay here or to keep your right hand down and open the left arm to the sky for a twist. Keep feeling the activity of the feet into the mat. Width across the front of the chest. Big breath in. Exhale, hand to mat. Rebend your front knee slightly so that you can step your back foot forward and off to the right for a few rounds of breath in a traditional pyramid pose. Arms might reach back, elbows straight, fingers pointing toward the back of the mat. 3 soft breaths. And slowly rebend the front knee. Step your feet back, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in downward facing dog to do anything that feels good. You might walk your feet mats width apart. You might bend the knees deeply, feel the length of the spine. Maybe sway the hips, shake the head no, nod yes. That was a big flow. So notice if you've accumulated any tension in the neck, the jaw, the face, the eyes. What could you soften? We'll set up for a right outer hip opener. If you're really craving a pigeon pose, you might take that. Otherwise, I'll offer, some people call it, I want to say fire logs. I've always learned it as double pigeon. Right leg crossed over left knee, right knee stacks over left ankle. If that feels like too much too soon, you can also take the right leg and wrap the arms around it like you're cradling a baby. And give it a little rock, just again to coax the outer hip out of its grip. And then let the right foot land, right knee opens, feel 2 sits bones on the ground-ish, or 2 hips on the ground. You could stay here upright, or you might start to inch the fingertips forward and fold forward over the legs. Find this one is a lot harder to it's a lot harder to, I don't want to say fake, because there's no version of pigeon pose where you're faking it, because we're not trying to achieve anything, but there are a lot of ways that you can shift pigeon pose so that it doesn't affect the right outer hip, and I feel like there's no escape in it somehow in this one. Or that it affects maybe a different part of the hip. See if you could let your neck soften, the head be heavy. We'll take just 5 breaths here, wherever you are in any expression of any pose. Breathing some space into the right outer hip. See if you can invite the breath to be slow and deep, all the way into the belly, just like we started with. And then if you fold it forward, press yourself upright from either pigeon or double pigeon. If you're seated, rock the hips back and just change legs. Option to cradle the left leg, left foot to right inner elbow, little rock from side to side. Before you let the left foot land on the right knee. Letting the left knee fall open. Some days I use a block or a pillow to catch the left knee. If it feels a little bit tight, you're welcome to do that as well. And then option to stay upright. Option to fold forward. Any amount of the pose is the pose. Breathe wherever you are. What sensations do you notice moving through the body? Maybe a better way to ask that, or another way to ask that would be, are there any sensations moving through the body? You don't need to understand them in language. I sometimes think of it as if I was like scuba diving and just underneath the water, kind of watching whatever float by my eyes, maybe not being able to identify most of the things that float past with accuracy. But still just witnessing all the shifts, the shifts of the water. And slowly press yourself upright. Take what you need to roll onto your back. Land on the back, hug the legs into the chest, take a moment to rock side to side. And let's set the feet on the mat wide, let the knees rest in toward one another. Constructive rest. Hands could be somewhere on the physical body or maybe down by the sides, maybe up overhead, holding opposite elbows. Few soft breaths. We paid a lot of attention to the hips today. You might be experiencing sensation. See if you can let everything settle. I'm gonna bring the feet back in, knees come to neutral. Send your left foot to the bottom left corner of the mat. Right ankle crosses over the left. And lean the torso on the ground in the same direction of your feet. Your left hand could hold your right wrist. Banana shape. Play around with where the lean happens based on the experience you're having in the shape. This one somehow, for me at least, feels both subtle and intense at the same time. Like a slow motion ungluing of my whole right side body. So you're gonna imagine that the inhale pushes the right side out so that it gets a little bit longer, a little more stretched. And then the whole body softens into that new space as you exhale. Start to bring the shape over to the other side, right foot to the bottom right corner, left ankle crosses up and over. Lean to the right, hold the left wrist with the right hand. Slow motion spreading of the tissue, the flesh of the left side. Breathe softly. Seeing if you can let the upper body, the back, be passive against the ground. Slowly draw everything back to center, hug the knees into the chest one more time. Option for another happy baby. Or you might draw the head up in toward the knees, squeeze everything in like a tight little ball. And as you exhale, set up for Shavasana, our final shape of this evening's practice. You could take any shape, any position for your Shavasana, for your rest. Not have to be laying on your back. Could be legs up the wall, could be on your side, could be on your belly. Take what feels genuinely physically comfortable, so that you're physically at ease, not having to work to be in any particular shape. We set the body up for softness, for support, for ease. And we allow the mind to follow, knowing that it might not get there right away, might not even get there eventually. Right, but we just give ourselves some time to let the minds, the thoughts, let it all settle. We rest right here. Shavasana. And allow your next breath to be a little deeper. Start to bring the awareness back to the body, back to the ground. And take any gentle movement that feels like a fresh start. As you're ready to reach the arms up overhead, take a big full body stretch. As you exhale, bend the knees, bend the elbows, roll on over to one side. And connect to a feeling of having plenty of time as you make your way to a comfortable seat. Before we move off the mat and into the rest of the evening, the rest of the day, I take just a moment to pause. To notice what we notice. Maybe it's physical sensation, maybe it's quality of the thoughts, the state of the mind. Maybe it's the breath. Let me start here. Take a full breath in. Let a full breath out. That's it. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to shut off this recording. Bye, recording people.